Hello, everyone. How are you? I trust that you have read the part about molar mass from the textbook that I assigned to you in the lessons, and so I want to talk about that so you know what I expect from you. And this is the same thing that we done in the class a couple weeks ago, but once again, I'm trying to reteach it in order so everybody understands it, so we can go forward. Okay. So I know I've spent a couple of these lessons going over stuff we've already been over before, but it is important in order to go into the future that we cover this again because you got to get this down in order to know what's going on in the future. Okay? So this week, this first lesson is about molar mass. All right. And so I want you to know two things, two different skills. All right. And we're going to talk about that. So, the first skill is when you're given a chemical formula, how many moles of each one do you have? All right. Should be fairly simple. Sometimes people make it a lot harder than it needs to be. Okay. So, right here, how many moles of each one do you have? All right. So, for water, when it's H2O, how many moles of hydrogen do you have? How many moles of oxygen do you have? So, you got to keep in mind that this bottom number, the subscript number, tells you how many moles of each one you have. So, you have 2 moles of hydrogen. Okay. And then when there is a blank here, it's implied that there's just one. So, you got to know that. Okay, so there's also 1 mole of oxygen. Okay, then in the second type of chemical formula, where it's calcium hydroxide, okay, how many moles do you have of each one? Okay, so for calcium, once again, you need to know that there's one right here. Even though it's not listed, there's one. Okay, so there's 1 mole of calcium. Okay, and then when it's in the parentheses, you take everything times this number that's outside the parentheses, you distribute it through everything that's inside the parentheses. So 2 times the 1 for the oxygen means that there's 2 moles of oxygen, and then there's 2 moles of hydrogen. Okay. So this is the first skill I want you to know. The second skill is building on this. You got to know this first. Okay. When they give you barium uh, nitrate, okay, how much does that weigh in grams per mole? All right. Last week we talked about AMU units. Well, this is the same process, but this time it's going to be in grams per mole. Okay. So, for example, how much does 1 mole of barium weigh? All right. That's where you got to use one of these. I provided this on the online tools. You got to find barium. Okay. Barium's right here. I don't know if you can read that, but it's 137.33 grams per mole. That's how much it weighs. Okay. Here you have 2 moles of nitrogen. You got to use that distribution principle again. Okay. So 2 moles of nitrogen. Nitrogen is what? 14.007 times 2. Okay. So I like to use my graphic calculator. You don't need a graphing calculator. You can use any scientific calculator. It's 28.014 grams per mole. Okay. And then oxygen, you have 6 of those. Oxygen is the only one where you can round up. Okay. Oxygen weighs 16. So once again, you got to find it on here. But this is the only one you can round up. Okay. Oxygen weighs 96. Okay.